Thank you, Dr. Singh. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our keynote. Professor Khan is a world-renowned speaker, author and educator, and a consultant in the field of e-learning and educational technology, and has the credit of first coining the phrase web-based instruction and popularizing this concept. He has been honored with many awards and worldwide acclamation throughout his career, and we're really looking forward to what you're going to share with us today. Thank you very much.
Good morning from the United States, good afternoon in South Africa, and good evening elsewhere in the world. I'm very happy that I have been invited to give a keynote on microlearning. And many of you probably wondering, what is microlearning? Microlearning can be viewed as a single objective focused, outcome-based, standalone, meaningful, and interactive learning unit delivered in bit-sized snippets. That is a short modular format, either digitally via computer, tablet, or mobile phone, or non-digitally, that is such as a flashcard or a booklet. So this is what is microlearning definition. Very single objective focus, outcome-based, standalone, meaningful, interactive learning unit delivered in bite-sized snippets. Now, I'm going to talk about how we can design this microlearning and what are the important characteristics of microlearning. As you can see from the image, that microlearning has to be interactive and engaging, device independent, usable and accessible, single objective focused, short duration, retention boosting, independent but part of the whole, and cost effective. So these are the characteristics of microlearning. So what is the difference between microlearning versus e-learning? The framework that displayed, Khan's e-learning framework, is applicable to micro to macro learning. So having said that, if you are familiar with e-learning, you can sympathize the e-learning, because today's world, our students or our population's attention span is very not that great. Okay, my stand fell. So this is the reality. This is the word. These are the things they were talking about. What can go wrong? And things will go wrong for remote learning. So what happened? Okay, 1 second, please. Okay. So every time I go and talk to someone overseas or in the United States, they're asking different questions. How are you going to assess the learner? Is web-based instruction would work? So I'm glad that those days, those questions been asked, And because of that, I was able to start think about issues. So I said, okay. In the web-based instruction book, you can see in the back there, these are my books. So when I say web-based instruction must be interactive, supported by good learning resources, well facilitated, and they tell me, show me. I couldn't show them. I did not have any course done, neither were any courses I find at any universities in 1996. So I took all their issues, concerns, I put them in different categories. With these categories, I created this framework for e-learning. So I cluster these issues into 8 categories. Pedagogical. So pedagogical has content analysis. So the issues, the questions that are coming, so I put them, clustered them. They're asking for the content questions. How are you going to decide which content will go on online? Audience analysis, goal analysis, medium analysis. You see, in the octagon, you have the pedagogy. How you're going to design it is going to be constructivist or instructivist view. How you organize this. What methods and strategies are you going to use? So these are the questions and issues that I thought of, and people are asking me. It's so important these days. As you know, the whole world is flat-footed, underprepared, or unprepared for this remote learning because of COVID. They were not ready. So I'm glad that I was able to come up with this framework in 1996. Think about this thing. So pedagogically, it will be dealing with any learning and training issues. So the next one I found is technological. Technological meaning that infrastructure planning, hardware, software. These are technological issues they were asking. Then I also find interface design issues. Interface design issues means look and feel what they see on the screen. That means page and site design, content design, navigation, accessibility, usability, etc. So these are on the interface design. So you see all these questions and issues I'm hearing globally, and I started putting it into categories. So I'm kind of going to this very sub-dimension of those categories. There are 8 dimensions. And then evaluation. They ask about evaluation. So I said, evaluation would be, we have to do the assessment of learners. And then we have to do the evaluation of the instruction and learning environment. Who is teaching it, who are maintaining it, who are providing the support. So evaluation should be a comprehensive one, not only assessing the learner, but also evaluate who's providing these services, who's providing actual instruction, etc. Next categories that I find is important, management. As a professor, what do? We go to classroom, in a regular classroom, we take our notebook, we start talking, showing whatever displays we have or the whiteboard behind me writing on it. So this is mostly the management, but online education, content is all over the places. So you need to really understand that how are you going to be developing this e-learning content. Are you going to use the PowerPoint slides, or are you going to use some kind of multimedia tool to develop content or website? And within the management, another category is e-learning maintenance. How are you going to maintain all this, the content you have? Some content you have created, some are created by others from different parts of the world. You're using them and making it available to your students or learners. So that's the management. Next one is the resource support. Because you have to think about when someone is going to take your class, they think about the face-to-face, on-campus, brick-and-mortar schools or universities. So they get different kind of support. You know, when they have some problem, they call the online support. They get library resources, they go to library. So resource support includes all kind of online support for online learning, and resources that includes counseling support, library support, and other available resources that you have to think about that you find, you should to provide that. The next categories of issues that I found are more ethical consideration. That includes, see, we are now global. Once you are online, I'm in the US, I'm originally from Bangladesh, Chittagong, Bangladesh. So someone from Chittagong, Bangladesh can see me, but I'm not there, but I'm in the US, nearby Washington, DC. And you see, when they see me, they tend to forget where I am, because we are all in one digital village. So we need to start thinking about ethical issues. That includes social and political influence. So if in your content, when you design a content, make sure that there is an issue. If you are writing about the history of Tibet, maybe an Indian professor would write one way, or Tibetan professor would write one way, and Chinese professor would write another way. So social and political influence happen when you publish it. So in this situation, you may give the multiple perspective. Then cultural diversity. We have so many different cultures globally. Like when you play, I used to play cricket in Chittagong Collegiate School. And so when they bowled me out, so my peers, they will say like this, like it means in Bangladesh, they use a green banana. It's not like way to go like in the United States. It's more like a derogatory, okay? So you have the cultural diversity, cross-cultural communication. So when I say things here today, if I'm not sensitive about cross-cultural communication, I may something I say may offend someone. So it is so important for online education because you become global. You're not in your, space-bound classroom. Then you have biasness. Biasness of you presenting the information is so controversial. So you should, for good for the community and your students, you need to show the multiple perspective. And it's easy to do on online. You can bring two views and you make your comment. Geographical diversity. For example, I think it's 3 p.m. in South Africa. It is about a quarter till 9 in the morning in the US. I didn't have any sleep last night. I just stayed up, then I'll go to bed. Because geographical diversity is something that we have, even in the United States, we have six time zones. So if I'm teaching a course in George Washington University, 8 in the morning, and it is synchronous, online live. If one of my students in Hawaii, it will be about, say, maybe 5 or 4 for that students in Hawaii. So synchronous learning is not very desirable when you have diversity, cultural diversity. And next one is, these are all ethical considerations. Remember, I talked about the students sending it to Amazon forest. I have to develop a course. This is what I'm finding. I hope you all understand my accent. That is another. Your speaker is not a native English speaker. So I struggle, but I try to use so many ways to make sure you understand. So learner diversity. Not all learners learn the same way. So students with some situation, you need to follow some kind of guidelines. For example, there is something called Section 508 in the United States, which is like American Disability Act. So if a student has problem or disability, or a student is blind, cannot see, they use the screen reader to read it. So if in your course, if you put a picture of me, so a screen reader will read the whole page. When it comes to image, it will say the image. But if you think about accessibility, you can put some kind of description of it, that this is Badrul Khan standing in front of a building. So students with visible disability can hear through the screen reader not only the image of Badrul Khan is standing in front of a building, so they will know. So you need to make sure that since you have a learner diversity, some students will learn with audio, some likes visuals. So you need to make sure you have an inclusive design, and it is all possible. Then digital divide. Digital divide is something, maybe some people have computers, 5G connection, interactivity, infrastructure. Others may not have a computer or don't have an internet connection. So that brings a divide. Haves or have not. You need to think about, you need to know where your learners are. You should have a good idea about their demography and their status. Etiquette. Etiquette is another ethical consideration. I can write so many books on ethical consideration. Etiquette, meaning this in here, how you prepare your students or your members or the community members to especially behave in online or digital environment. It is very important, because I remember one time when I was at the University of Texas, we had 5 universities. We collaborate to teach a course online. So we had discussions, we are teaching on instructional design, Texas A&M, University of Texas, some of these big campuses. So all of a sudden, So all of a sudden, the students were not participating because one of the husband of a professor from Washington University in Seattle there was responding to one student's questions, and somehow he was uninvited, the professor's husband, and that really did not like by other students, and they didn't want to participate. So you need to have etiquette, who you can enter in the discussions, and at the same time, what they should write or what they cannot write. You should have a list of things they should not use. So etiquette is
Professor
good
Khan,
design.
could I ask you to start concluding?
The next one is legal issues. The legal issues is, for example, plagiarism, copyright. These are important issues. So all the issues that I talk about, social, political influence, cultural diversity, biasness, geographical diversity, and can you see me? Okay.
We've lost your video, but could I ask you to start concluding, please?
Okay, start video again. You cannot start the video. Can someone let me start the video? Okay, I got it. Okay. So these are critical ethical consideration issues. The last one is institutional issues. Institutional issues, for example, irregular universities, we have administrative affairs, we have academic affairs, we have student services. So that means on online, same thing will happen. Online student will look for how they can, academic quality. Is this course they are taking from an online method, is it as good as if they have taken it from face-to-face classes? That's academic affairs. Administrative affairs would include maybe registration and few other things, enrollment. Anything deals with the students in the face-to-face classes, that should be included in online thinking. And globally, student services, like you have common rooms, you have games, different services, counseling services, health services. So you have to think about within the scope of your online offerings. You should be thinking that you should start looking into this 8th critical dimension. Pedagogically, one of the questions you may ask, what types of content are appropriate to teach by a variety of e-learning approaches? That's a pedagogical question. And content suitability. Is the content have dynamic content? You have stable content. So stable content, the historical talk by Martin Luther King is never going to change. So you don't have to put on internet. You can put it on. Okay, I think there's a sign that. So by the way, to summarize in here, badrulkhan.com/framework. This badrulkhan.com/FRAMEWORK. You will get presentations, you get many of the resources available. And thank you. I'll be opening up for any questions you may have.